good
Two
joke.
alphas.
All right, well, I'm sure everyone's going to have a good cackle at that one. Thank you very much, Smash. Anyway, we go into Ground Zero and Mindfreak. First map, of course, is going to be Busan, and that has been the case for this season. What's your tip for this one? Who's winning it?
Oh, it's hard. This is a 50-50 map. It should go to 5, but I'm going to tip Mindfreak at the end of the day.
On this map in particular, but for the series as a whole?
Yeah, I'll go Mindfreak 3-1, maybe 3-2.
All right, well, we'll see how it goes. Mini going to start off here, of course, trying to throw the Fire Strike into Bus, and going to go straight through his shield, but the heals come back across. Now the aggression from Mindfreak. They try to push forward and do some damage to Ground Zero, which they've done quite substantially. Money and Gus, both very low, and the heals aren't really coming across to those players as quickly as you would like to see. Typically, Gus very low, almost getting demech, but hasn't been. And still the advantage isn't quite there for Ground Zero. Finally, they get the opener. It's Mini down, Mini dropped. And the rest should soon follow. Gus demech straight into the rest of the Mindfreak roster, and it is a bit of a blender there now for Duboy as well. He gets knocked around like almost in a pinball machine.
Yeah,
somehow still alive.
Nami's done well here. He might be able to escape with his charge as well. It's a good result there for Nami, but unfortunately Mini going for that counter stun where you get stunned by the brig, but you also charge at the same time and it knocks you both down. Unfortunately, he doesn't time it just right, so it puts himself into a bit of an awful position, and the Mindfreak boys are able to collapse on him and take him out. It's good to see that ult charges are relatively even across the board. A little bit of an advantage for Bus though.
Bit of an advantage, but something still there for Ground Zero to play with. They need the Transcendence to deal with the Graviton Surge. Someone's gone flying. That'll be Nami. Aki getting the finishing blow as well. Nice start in the fight for Mindfreak. Perhaps it'll end up being the same as last.
Yeah, Ground Zero is still committing ult here. It'll be interesting to see if they commit any more. The shield on Bus going very low. The Shadow catches him off guard. He might be going down here. A good beat drop from Swuko just manages to save him.
Yeah, Swuko certainly was a standout last season for Mindfreak, and already having a good positive impact for the roster in this season as well. It's a fight that has lasted for a long time, and that is not only going to favour Mindfreak because it keeps their percentage ticking up, but it also means, and it actually looks like Mindfreak are still winning this fight. So that's huge indeed. Bus, bit of a wayward shatter straight into the shield of Mini, who gets it up in time.
The Ground Zero are really backing themselves here to win this fight. They've invested a lot into it and they're getting punished. It feels like they've been one down this whole time.
Yeah, and they actually pretty much have been one down the whole time. Every single time someone comes back for Ground Zero, the pick comes across, and well, eventually they have to reset. But that was a very, very long-winded fight loss, it feels like, for Ground Zero.
Yeah, it feels like everyone used an ultimate in that fight. Mini has managed to build himself back up and Earth Shatter there, so he must have been swinging very hard into that Graviton Surge from Nami.
Doesn't quite have his hub available just yet. There is Rally for Mindfreak to keep them topped up just a little bit. Self-destruct goes over early from Kiki. No real impact from that one, and the Earth Shatter sneaks past Bus. It isn't actually going to have too much of an impact there because everyone gets healed straight back up. Aki gets Mini, and he ragdolls quite funnily on the point. August, Swuko chiming in there with one apiece, and Bus, well, now he's pretty much finally got that Earth Shatter that we talked about built on up, but not going to matter. Fight's over, game's over, round's over. 100-2-0 for Mindfreak.
Yeah,
Good
that
start.
long investment fight from Ground Zero really not paying off there. Sometimes it does pay off and you can manage to just turn the tide, but committing those ultimates when you're one player down can be very difficult. You really need something to go your way, and despite Mini getting a few Earth Shatters past Bus's shield, the support from the Mindfreak was there to stop the damage and stop really bleeding too much. So well played by Mindfreak there, but Ground Zero won't be happy with that elongated fight.
No, definitely not. Something that should be a fairly easy fix for Ground Zero. I think that was maybe more a little bit of indecision in a way. It's like, oh, we might win the fight, but we could probably reset, but no one kind of making that call.
Yeah,
inevitably, something needs to happen there, right? Either you wipe or you reset.
Yeah, you need someone to just call that, we're down this player, let's reset, go again. What ults have we got next?
Yep.
Now we see downtown. This is a fight where Reinhardt's often die early. Let's see who can get the advantage.
Russ is the one that wants to push the issue early on in the piece, goes straight up the stairs, but it's Mini again that drops. And it does seem like Ground Zero are allowing Mini to fall pretty early in the majority of these fights. And, if you've been watching any Overwatch in your life, you pretty much know that in this current meta, if you lose your Reinhardt, that's basically going to lose you the round.
Yeah,
it's not fight.
You're not having a lot of fun if you don't have that big Reinhardt shield with you. And Mini going down again. He's playing aggressive, but he doesn't have the boys to back it up just at the moment. He really needs the support of his team. But, I mean, this point it's very hard. You know, that rollout fight, it often ends up with one of the Reinhardts just getting blown up in the space of half a second. Bus hiding underneath here, actually, holding an interesting angle.
Yeah, perhaps going for something like a sneaky charge. It wasn't going to be an Earth Shatter, that's for sure. It hasn't built up just yet for Bus, and perhaps caught out of position a little bit there as well, as he does go down early on in the piece. Do still see the trade back coming across. It's Kiki that found a bit of an interesting angle, hanging up on the balcony and firing into Mini's head, essentially. So it's Reinhardt's down on both sides.
And here comes that rally aggression again. You saw August with it earlier, managing to get the return kill onto Mini, and now with Juboy with his own rally manages to get players back into position, and now it's back to a 6v6 fight.
Who does that favour at this point? Looks like it might well be Mindfreak with the extra ultimate they have available, being self-destruct on Kiki.
I think holding this high ground is very important. Look for Addy's Graviton Surge here to beat the thing. Dalsu dropping incredibly low, manages to get the Transcendence off into the Graviton Surge. Kiki's bomb won't collect anything. The big shield of Mini there to block it. Everyone throwing ults into. Bus throws an ult into a shield. Mini with the return shadow doesn't catch anything. Everyone's throwing ults everywhere.
Yeah, it just felt like an absolute blender of ultimates, didn't it? But none really having the impact it needed. Still, Kiki is the one that makes the difference as he pushes forward, gets past the shield of Mini and slams him on Diva. And that's going to be another fight that'll go pretty convincingly to Mindfreak, and so far
the point did flip over, so they gained themselves a little bit of time, but
7% to 180% so
yeah,
far for Mindfreak.
It's not looking too hot at the moment for Ground Zero Gaming. They don't have a lot to work with here. Just the aggression of Juboy's rally. Maybe they can get an early pick onto Bus is what they need.
Definitely need something different than what has been happening so far. Even with the early pick onto Bus, they weren't really able to do much. Money pushes forward, looks for the boop, and does get it. Bus down low, has to back away onto the point. Nami now has a great opportunity for a big Graviton Surge here. They're all stuck in one position, but of course Aki has Transcendence available and waiting. Self-destruct through from Kiki again to try and buy some space. Won't really do a whole lot. And now finally Ground Zero getting the success that they would have wanted. The Graviton Surge did come through from Addy, but it is just a little too late. There wasn't enough follow-up by Mindfreak. Ground Zero have won a fight.
And they won it pretty cleanly too. They managed to get the Graviton Surge out of Addy as well. They'll be happy with that. It was interesting to see Kiki drops the bomb in the middle of that grab when he gets grabbed, just to try and scare the enemy off. So Mini can't just sit there swinging into that grab. He has to, use his shield to block the Diva bomb. So there is some ideas there to stop the damage. They invest a lot, but I think that Mindfreak are going to be looking for Bus's shadow here. Look for August to play very aggressive with this rally and get the stun onto Mini.
Yeah, Squilko perhaps going to try and go for a boop here as well. Good cause
here he goes.
In the works. Bus pushing on forward. You're right. There it is. Bus has managed to connect a good one. Quite a few players hit by that and on the floor. And self-destruct is going to go into really nobody at that point for Mindfreak. Ground Zero have been just completely and utterly wrecked in that last fight. And quite frankly, it seems like that was the case on Busan in general.
Yeah, it looked like Swilko was able to get that knock up as well to help. So just in case August didn't hit that stun, which I don't think he did in time, August was unfortunately not able to get the stun, but again, Mindfreak able to clean up off that shadow. They end up getting the Zarya down, and that's the key in the fight. You got the Reinhardt falls. The second is the Zarya. If the Zarya falls, you're going to have this massive damage advantage going the way of Mindfreak.
Yeah, certainly. So good start, really, it has to be said for Mindfreak. It was, almost 50% in that second point for Ground Zero, but past that, there wasn't really a whole lot to get too excited about. Maybe 1.5. I want to say 1.5 fights won there by Ground Zero, because the one that they got 7% on, it sort of, I don't know, didn't really, to me, kind of count as a whole fight. So it definitely looked good for Mindfreak, and off to a great start here in Season 2 of Contenders 2019.
And this is what you want to see if you're a Mindfreak fan on this team. This team has a lot of emotional players, a lot of players that when they're feeling the highs and they're feeling good, they could take on anybody. They could take on maps from Order if this team is feeling good. They're very emotional, very driven team, and they're getting a start like this into their Contender season is exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, right on the Magic School Bus. That's exactly what you want. It's a nice little drive forward, but there is still plenty more maps to think about. Busan is obviously out of the picture, 1-0 to Mindfreak if you're just joining us, but Volskaya coming up next, and that's a map where we've seen Bus have his issues on point B.
He's found his way off the map in situations where no man thinks is possible, but hopefully he's learned from his mistakes.
No, I don't hope that at all. I hope the meme
off the map, do you?
Absolutely.
You want to see Bus in the drink?
Exactly.
Well, I hope he's got his swimming trunks on, because it is awfully cold in that Volskaya water.
I'm sure he'd look fantastic in swimming trunks.
Yeah, I actually think
You
he
know,
would. Yeah,
yeah.
no, he's a handsome man, Bus.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Certainly is. All right, well, we'll have to get back onto that. Maybe we'll keep an eye on his Instagram and see what's going on.
Yeah.
But perhaps there's going to be some victory celebrations on said Instagram tonight. Obviously, Mindfreak starting off with a good one. It doesn't feel like there was much there for Ground Zero. Maybe it takes a little time for them to get rolling. But this is at least 3 out of 6 of the players here are from that Melbourne Mavericks roster that made it to last season's finals. They made it to top 4. So you look at that on paper and you say, actually, they've kind of got the players there that had better results last season than the guys on Mindfreak. So I guess a bit of chain logic, but you may well argue that Ground Zero do look pretty solid on paper, but it's just not eventuating in the server just yet.
Yeah, and I think just in looking at that map in particular, I think that there was a few indecisions there. Obviously, the first point, they had that extended fight where they were kind of chaining ults when they were 1 down, and it happened a little bit as well in the second point too. I think that if they can get that a bit clearer, the decision-making a bit clearer, that they can really, close this gap with Mindfreak, because you can't be giving up 30-40% in a fight where you know you're in a disadvantage. One thing I will say though is Money hasn't looked, he's looked okay on this Lucio role. Obviously he swapped from playing flex support for Atletico in Season 3 2018 now to the main support role. It can be a difficult transition because the way you play Lucio in this Goats v Goats meta is quite different to how you played it in the past. You're looking to start on the walls, you're looking to start really high and displace the enemy team. So it's been good to see that Frogger might have trained him up a little bit there.
Don't know about that. You were main support, right?
I was what they call a floor Lucio though.
Okay.
So what we did in a floor Lucio is we just ran around on the floor making sure the boys were in your aura, really.
Yeah.
And just trying...
Back in the day when it literally went for like 500 meters.
Okay, I swapped to Lucio just after the little circle came out,
so you were a good Lucio player.
It depends who you ask. If you ask Unter, you might get a nice response.
Yeah, he actually has the props for you?
No,
yeah,
no,
I was going to say, that doesn't sound like him at all.
I played mainly Mercy, actually. I got caught in the Mercy meta when I played.
Oh, I see.
And if you ask Unter about my Mercy, you'll get some nice responses too.
Yeah, I think I'll leave that for the moment. But anyway, we are on to Volskaya. And things have been tracking along quite nicely for Mindfreak. They will start off an attack here, though. And we shall see whether or not Mini and his Winston are going to have a bit of a better time than what was happening there for Reinhardt, because he did end up getting picked a little bit early in the majority of those fights there, whether that's his fault or the rest of his team or what it was. Perhaps a change of hero is going to help out.
And you do like seeing Dalsu on this Ana. It is a pick that he loves to play. Whenever you've seen Dalsu play in a tournament or in officials, he always tries to sneak that Ana pick in there somewhere, so hopefully he can get the big biotic grenades that Tung was getting earlier.
Straight into the safety of the room. And I say safety, but you're right, that Bionade doing a lot of damage, and it does keep Mindfreak very low. Spuko somehow still alive, but needs to be careful here. So does August 9th. Aki actually the first to fall, but really it was a terrible situation for Mindfreak from the outset. They were never really able to get those heals across that they needed to. You can kind of see that one coming. How quickly Mini has been able to build that Primal Rage, by the way. Goodness me.
Yeah, it was a bit of a risky jump there from Mini. He was about 51% on that Primal Rage. He gets the Zarya bubble, he goes in, and he really has no option but to get that Primal Rage. If he doesn't get the Primal Rage there, he goes down, and the point, it folds over towards the way of Mindfreak. So he went in, he risked it for the biscuit, and it ended up coming out.
Risked it for the biscuit. Definitely a little bit more of a welcome change for Ground Zero. But attempt number 2 for Mindfreak, and they'll push on forward. Money not able to get the boot this time. I think he did actually catch Kiki last time, which might have been part of the reason we did see the Bionade go through. Obviously, no defense matrix available. But this time, okay for Mindfreak. They get further across, so they progress further toward the point, straight into the big health pack room.
Yeah, and Mini getting just whip shot there, extends his area in the air, goes down to 30 health, manages to survive, but it looks like Mindfreak pretty solid on this point. It's going to be hard to dislodge them.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially with Gus dropping straight down into a shield bash and demect, but he has got self-destruct available. In the meanwhile, though, Bus, it's going to be the end of Gus. Bus and Gus going at each other, and we know you run into a Bus like that, it's not going to work out too nicely at all. Mini with Primal Rage, he's trying to smack away into that Graviton Surge, but it won't do a whole lot.
No, and it looks like Mindfreak will be able to take this point pretty convincingly, and they'll be able to keep a few good ultimates too. Bus managing to, really man up there and find Gus as he ended up ejecting out of his mech. He committed to that kill, not going to help his teammates block the Diva Bomb, but he managed to get the kill, which mattered anyway. Now they're snowballing very fast onto this second point. We've seen teams do this a lot this week.
And That's exactly what you need to be doing. Swilko here with Sound Barrier to keep everyone on Mindfreak alive when it need be, and there it is. Graviton Surge through from Addy as well, but there is a responding Sound Barrier, and it looks like Bust has been caught out there. A good charge from Mini. Shield is going to go down for just a moment, and Bust will strike. Gets his own up just in time, but it's not enough to keep Mindfreak alive. Absolute chaos in that fight, and both the Reinhardts having an impact, but it'll be Mini, by the looks of things, that comes out ahead.
Go Kiki. He's been slept, and he will get staggered quite a lot here, actually. Dalsu tries to hit another sleep. Should be up any second now. He hasn't even gone for it. Looks like Kiki's just going to take a dip off the map. But in that fight, Dalsu hit a nice biotic grenade onto Bust to stop the healing coming through, and that ended up sealing the deal and really eliminating him. But a nice shatter came out from Bust. The nano boost came out to save Nami, though. So I don't know. It's a pretty even fight, but the more this fight goes on and the longer Dalsu stays on Ana, the more likely I think Mindfreak will come in and win this. Because the next Graviton Surge, there's not going to be a big answer. There will be no Sound Barrier from Money. It will just be relying on the raw healing from that biotic
I don't know, mate. You might see a big sleep dart coming across here and there from Dalsu, who's known for being one of the better, if not the best, Anas in the region. So you can have an impact regardless. But you're right, no Transcendence. It's a big problem for Ground Zero here. So they probably need to start these fights off on their own terms.
They need to get aggressive with this nano boost here. The Graviton Surge comes out, the nano onto the Reinhardt, I believe, and now this will build the ultimate from Mini. He gets the charge pin. He will probably come back with a shatter here very soon.
Probably doesn't need it, though.
Mindfreaker, yeah, they're just heading for the hills.
Yeah, August, after he goes down there, I think Mindfreaker like, you know what, we don't really want to take a fight like this, especially considering there's no real ultimates available. Nothing that can turn that around for Mindfreak. So, good idea to reset, but a pretty economic fight, all things considered, for Ground Zero. Just the Graviton Surge and the Nano Boost coming across, but Nano Boost charges very, very quickly.
Ground Zero are looking really good on this defense so far. They'll be happy with the amount of time they've bought off. They lost first point on the second push, so they've had to fight off a bit of time here. They've only given half of the point up.
He playing forward as well, but he has got the Graviton Surge, and this is the win condition that you spoke about. Earth Shatter early there from Mini. That's what they need to be doing. They need to be starting the fight off on their own terms, as I said, and they did just that. Great Earth Shatter from Mini. Again, clean wipe. Mindfreak backing away.
Money with a 3k2, that will go into a montage, I'm sure, but that's, yeah, that is exactly what you want to be doing. If you're playing this Ana, you need to be aggressive. You need to be getting the fight off on your own terms. You need to be making them use that grav when it's at a disadvantage, or, you know, they can't follow up on it. They're using it defensively almost, because if they manage to get into the position where they can use that Graviton Surge offensively, you're not going to have much to survive.
How many times are you going to be able to get away with that as Ground Zero, though? It just feels like slowly but surely, sooner or later, really, I should say, Mindfreak are going to be able to get that grab off. This time, Nami has got a grab of his own, self-destruct as well for Gus. So the tools are there again. Can they manage to start this one off on the right foot once more? Keep putting that pressure onto Mindfreak.
There goes the grab.
Early grab out from Addy this time, but responded in kind by Nami. No advantage coming from either, even despite no Transcendence coming out for Ground Zero. Nano Boost is onto Mini, and he's swinging away with that big old hammer, which is going to force the Sound Barrier out from Swilko. Dancing up on top of the high ground is he. Mini will drop early. Bus onto Duboy now as well. Again, swinging away with his own hammer. The self-destruct comes through, but not going to have any impact. Addy gets Nami, his counterpart on the Zarya. Slowly but surely, Mindfreak are getting the advantage in this fight in particular. The stagger going to be coming out. That's a nice boot from Swilko. And it's going to mean that Mini won't get too much done on that Doomfist. He can't doof out too hard this time. August 9th with the shield bash stops the player coming onto the point, and Mindfreak will manage to secure with a decent amount of time available.
Yeah, and there we saw that extra power of that one support ultimate advantage. They managed to use the Transcendence to counteract the B drop, and then they had the counteract the Graviton Surge, sorry, and then they had the B drop and the rally to go forward and really use that aggression. A good job from Kiki as well to matrix those Arnie heals going into the back of Mini there, meaning that Dalsu, despite being on the field, he wasn't really doing much because those healing darts were just going nowhere. They were going straight into the matrix.
Yeah, that's one of the big issues, isn't it, for Ana? You really do get shut down quite hard by a D.Va. Literally everything you can do, apart from the Nano Boost, can be cancelled by a defense matrix.
That is true, but I think that Mavericks will be pleased, I guess, with holding off for that long. They didn't have a very nice point one. It was kind of messy, apart from the first fight. The first fight was pretty clean, but the second fight didn't really go their way.
Yeah.
So they'll be happy with taking 4 minutes off the
I
clock.
like that you say Mavericks there instead of Ground Zero, because that's really what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I saw Mini, I saw Gust, and I was like, oh, it's the Mavericks. No.
No, they're Ground Zero now. We'll get there. But, yeah, I have to agree with you. To be able to hold it that long, it did actually look like that should get cleaned up a little bit quick by Mindfreak. Still, with that said, finishing Volskaya minute 43, I actually reckon that's a pretty good time for Mindfreak, and Ground Zero have their work cut out for them headed on to their attacking side.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do anything different or if they just go in for that 3-3 as well. I haven't seen much of Aki on the Ana, actually. I've seen him more as a Zenyatta player. I guess he's going to try his trade here. And Ground Zero look like they are going to go for that DPS composition with 2 snipers and a hamster at the moment.
Perhaps catch Mindfreak off guard. Nami was a pretty solid Widowmaker last season, but straight away the change is going to come out. So
yeah, Nami is actually one of the better Widowmakers, I'd say, in Contenders. He is very young and has that raw aim that's very impressive. Turns a lot of heads when he's on that Widowmaker.
No Widowmaker this time, but Zaya also relying on the raw aims. Will go too late for the boot. Far too late indeed. So he has to rotate his position back across, but we'll have it back up in time. So let's keep an eye on this and see what happens. You can see Bus is waiting around in the wings. Only at 13% at the moment. Still more work to be done. Not a bad boot, but no capitalization really from Mindfreak there.
Yeah, everyone manages to cross safely. That armor pack onto the Zenyatta is really what you need there to get him across, because he is quite a fragile little being.
That's at 66%. Oh, Money's caught out on his own and is going to be dove not only by Kiki there, but you saw Bus getting a bit of a tickle in with the Tesla cannon. One player down already for Ground Zero, and the rest of the dominoes may well fall. Primal Rage is here for Bus, and well, we can continue with the dominoes analogies because the Primal Rage plus dominoes, and I don't know, I guess there's probably not going to be too many dominoes left after that. They're all going to be flung everywhere, and that's what happened. And he is dead now as well, and good solid hold from Mindfreak to start things off here on Volskaya.
I was very fearful there for Bus going off the edge of the map. Sometimes when you're in that Primal Rage, you can get a bit excited. That leap cooldown is reduced quite a lot, and he was looking at the edge there, so good on him for staying on the map. Money, unfortunately, getting caught off in that rotation. Good from Kiki and Bus, and this is what I talked about. Those two players are very talented, and seeing them on a roster together is quite nice. Those two players can make a big difference, especially on these dive heroes, to get through.
Oh, that's really nice from Mini. You can see he holds the umbrella up and Swilgo cannot get the boot through it. So learning from the past. Now it's Swilgo's second attempt, and this was the one that he got off last time as well. Almost getting caught by the shield bash, I thought, there for Swilgo, but survives okay.
Actually on a slither of HP too, so just hoping that he doesn't get hit by one of these right clicks. No, he gets the armor back in time.
And straight back onto the point again for Ground Zero. This is where the ults are coming online for them, but Bus knows that he is going to start the fight off on his own terms. Gus is totally out of this one, but then so is Bus. They seem to run into each other more often than not. Kiki alone on the point contesting. Bus comes straight back in. Looks like he did actually get the knockoff onto Gus. He's off the map. And if it's not Bus, then it will be Gus, but regardless, Addy, the one that's doing the damage right now for Mindfreak with Zaya. He's going to get the Discord Orb onto Bus there. Dalsu, but not going to do too much. Good hold again from Mindfreak. And minute 15 on the clock now. Ground Zero are going to have to start scratching their heads.
Ground Zero starting to sweat, and Gus and Bus, former teammates, of course, now punching it out on the map of Volskaya, but they didn't manage to dislodge Aki from that high ground. So he was just able to swing around and heal whoever was needed. You know, throw a nade into the Graviton Surge, and that's really. This high ground is just really important for the defending team to hold as long
especially for an Ana player as well, who can't retake it, you know what I mean? Like, if you get, okay, let's say you get a Lucio off the high ground, wow, big whoop, he's going to just get back up there straight away. That's great though, good pick out from Bus.
Money getting splashed by that biotic grenade meant that he was anti-healed, and Lucio's who are anti-healed, Winston's love that.
Yeah, they feel sad at the moment, and Bus has actually pushed forward, so I wonder, how does...
This is Bus's third Primal Rage of this half, so he's
going to go around the back.
I think that's a wise choice from Money.
But the thing is, like, if the rest of this Ground Zero roster doesn't have Money, how do they get across? Well, they wait for him to get there, and the speed boost kind of comes by range. But regardless, Bus forward again, Primal Rage again to start the fight off, and well, see you later, Dalsu. There's not going to be so much you can do here. Sound Barrier did come down to help him out, but it really does not matter if you go off the map, and Bus, he may well have trained in that situation multiple times, and now he's putting it into his opponents. It's not him that's going off the map, it's everybody else. Graviton Surge through, but there won't be anything from it. And this is going to be a very, very good map win for Mindfreak. That's even more convincing for me than Busan.
No, that's exactly ideal. The ideal first hold on Volskaya, they rotated the Winston ults very nicely, they rotated the nano boosts, and even when they were in trouble, they had to grab it on Surge to bail them out. Whenever there was a grab, they were looking to use that counter grab, so the side of Ground Zero couldn't capitalize on their own Graviton Surges. So very well done from Mindfreak. They looked like they had a good idea of how to approach that, and they played it very well.
Yeah, every single time you saw Ground Zero pushing forward, there was obviously the boot coming out from Swuko, Bus jumping on top. I'm very impressed at how often Bus was able to build Primal Rage there. You know, like we've talked about it extensively. If you can get Primal Rage before that first fight, or just as that first fight is coming out, that is a really big asset for you on Volskaya first. But it was like literally every fight.
Yeah, he had 3 Primal Rages. There was probably 4 fights in that defense. He had 3 Primal Rages, and he got kills every single time. He denied the rotations, he displaced the heroes, and he got environmental kills on his old teammates Dalsu and Gus. And that feels good, killing your old teammates. I'll tell you that much.
Is that so? Well, I wouldn't know. Anyway, I'm sure it did feel good for Bus. They're off to a 2-0 start. The series not yet over. Could well be comeback here for Ground Zero, but there is going to have to be some pretty significant changes going into this second half, and we sort of... I almost feel like you can take the same analogy for the seasons themselves as you can for the first half and the second half of this series. So for Ground Zero, from last season to this season, you need to have something that is going to change, because last season was not good. This season, they want to be doing a whole lot better. Well, it's the same thing now in the first half of this game against Mindfreak. It hasn't been good. They're down 0-2. They need to do something in this halftime break. Have a bit of a chat, have a bit of a break. I don't know, go to the toilet, have some food, do whatever. Take some time away from the game maybe. Reset. Because you're down 0-2. One more map. The series is over against a team that is, you know, on paper, like in a fairly close position to you when it comes to the standings.
Yeah, Ground Zero probably wouldn't be happy with the way they've played at the moment. Mini is quite an aggressive main tank. He has been for many seasons. So I think they need to be ready for that and follow him up a lot more. I think that there needs to be a lot more aggression out of that Ground Zero roster just to catch Mindfreak off guard. Maybe see if the August is a little overextended. Maybe dive onto August instead of Bus. You need this something extra to look at for here, because at the moment they have Mini going forward and then the rest of the team kind of just hanging back waiting for something else to happen.
Alright, well maybe Coach Smash can get on the phone to Ground Zero and let them know what needs to happen in this break. We're going to head to a quick one, guys. Don't go too far. We've still got potentially 2 or maybe 3 maps after this.